So I picked up this bag of $50 face of 90% silver. And what I thought I would do today is go through it, see what all I got, weigh it, and make sure that we got all the silver that we were expecting, and then call a few coin shops and find out what they would pay me for it if I were to sell it back to them. So let's get started, and we're gonna go through here. It should be a mix of dimes, quarters, and half dollars, and that's exactly what it looks like. So we're gonna go through it, and then I'm gonna get the scale out and weigh it up and see how much silver is actually there. It should be around 35.75 pure ounces of silver after you remove the 10% copper. Okay, so I went through and pulled the half dollars out first, and you'll notice I got a pretty good mix of Kennedys, like these 1964 Kennedys, some Benjamin Franklin half dollars, and some Walking Liberty halves. Now it looks like I have around 21. We can count them up. There's 8, 10, 13, 16, 18, 21 Kennedy half dollars. So that is $10.50 face value right there. Then with our Benjis, we have, it looks like 4, 8, 12, 15 Benjamin Franklin half dollars, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Walking Liberty half dollars. And you can see these are pretty heavily circulated for the most part, although this one right here does look pretty good. That is a 1942. Obviously, it is not perfect. It is a common date. You know, it looks like there's some tape residue on it. I just dropped a coin there. But, you know, detail-wise, like, it's not pretty flat. That looks pretty darn good. So we're also going to sort through the quarters and the dimes. And like I said, we're going to weigh them up. You can see we do have a Standing Liberty quarter sitting right here, so we'll pull that out and take a look at it. But really quick, before we do, guys, if you like videos like this, if you want to learn more about gold and silver, do me a favor. Don't forget to go down below and make sure you are subscribed and help us get to 250,000 subscribers. My channel is sponsored by SDBullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to SDBullion.com/new. Okay, so we just finished going through the quarters, and what we have right here is 3 piles of $5 each. So that's 20, 40, 60 quarters right there. Then we have another $3 in face value right here in 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, we do have this one Standing Liberty quarter like I showed you earlier. And it is heavily circulated. It's a common date type 2. And with it missing the date like this, it's basically just worth its weight in silver, although it is probably missing just a little bit. Now, we had a couple of other heavily circulated quarters in there like this one as well, but we also had some really nice, basically uncirculated ones like this one here also. So my hope is that between the really nice BU ones that actually would be more than 0.715 ounces per dollar, that will end up balancing out and we'll get our average of 0.715. Okay, so the next thing to do is go through the dimes, and I know there's a couple of mercuries in there like this one right here and this one right here, and we'll see if we find any others. Now that I've went through the dimes, we can see that we have 9 piles of $10 face each. That is 90 dimes there, and then we have another 10 right here with these 7 and these 3 mercury dimes. So 97 of them were Roosevelts, which are to be expected, but we did get these 3 mercuries. So we have a 1941, we have a 1944, and a 1937 mercury dime as well. So common dates, although this 37 right here actually looks really nice. I mean, it's toned, but it has a lot of really good detail. Okay, so I went through and sorted them all out in piles, and you can see we have exactly $50 face here. Each one of these big piles of quarters and half dollars is 5 face. Each one of the dimes is $1 face for a total of 50. There's 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So next thing we need to do is weigh them, because what we're going to be looking for is to see if all of our silver is actually there. We should reasonably expect about 0.715 ounces per dollar face, which means after we subtract the 10% copper in these coins and weigh them all, we should end up with 35.75 ounces of silver. So let's put our 2 piles of half dollars here. That's going to be 10 face. And that pile comes out to 8.01 ounces. All right, our next 2 piles together, 8.025 ounces. Okay, our next 2 piles here is 7.935, a little bit lighter there. Our next 2 piles is 7.975. And now we'll do our $10 face value of 90% dimes. And you can see the scale says minus 0.5, and that's because the weight of the tray is already calibrated. So if we put that on, you can see we get 7.99 ounces out of our dimes. Now it's just simple math, so we'll grab a calculator and add up all of our weights. We had 8.01, 8.025, 7.935. We had 7.975 and 7.99. That gives us 39.935 ounces. And if we multiply that by 0.9 to remove the 10% copper, we have 35.94. So we actually did a little bit better than expected, because if we take our 35.94 and subtract our 35.75, we have about a fifth of an ounce of silver extra that we didn't expect. So let's take our 35.9415 and then divide that by 50, and we actually had 0.7188 ounces per dollar. Again, a little bit better than we planned for. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering how much I paid for this $50 face of 90% silver, and that is a really good question. I paid full melt price, as you can see on the screen right here. I paid no premium at all. Now, the number on the screen, this big number, 1163.50, isn't exactly what I paid because spot price is a little bit different now. But for this video, we are going to go with what the melt price is on it right now. So if I were to buy it today, right now, as I'm recording this video, with spot price at $32.54, you can see the melt value. And again, we're not melting it. We're just removing that 10% copper, is $23.27 per dollar, which means if I bought this right now at melt price, I'd pay $1163.50. Now, I just called 4 different coin shops and I went on the website of a 5th to find out what they would pay me if I were to turn around and resell it today. And keep in mind, a lot of shops are selling 90% really close to melt. So I am not expecting them to also offer me melt. Shops have to make money, but it is fun to see how much I would lose if I were to turn around and go walk into a coin shop today. So the first shop I called was in the state of Illinois, and they offered me $20 per dollar. That is $1,000. So if I would have bought that today and then sold it to that shop today, I would have lost $163.50. Now, the second shop I called was in the state of Florida. They were paying a little bit stronger at $21 per dollar. That means they would have paid me $1,050, so I would have lost to that shop $113.50. Now, the next shop I called was in California. They offered me only $19.70 per dollar. That means I would have only gotten $985 for my $50 in face of silver, meaning I would have lost $178.50. The fourth shop I called was in Washington. They offered me $20.20 per dollar, meaning they would have given me $1,010, meaning I would have lost $153.50, again, based on spot price today. And then the final shop I did not call, but I went on their website, and I'm going to show that to you in just a second. But according to their website, they are paying $21.44 per dollar, meaning I would have gotten $1,072, and to them I would have lost $91.50. And here is that shop I was talking about. So we are going to look at their 90% right here, and you can see, and by the way, we are looking at Bullion Club price because Bullion Club is free to join. But if we look at 90% right here, they're paying $21.37 per dollar for dimes and quarters, and $21.51 per dollar for $50. Now you can see they're selling it for $23.59 and $23.66, which is really close to melt price. So as I said, shops are selling 90% at melt or really close to it. So I did not expect when calling these shops that I wasn't going to get a number less than what I had paid. And that's exactly what we found out. Now, obviously, when you go to buy something like 90% silver, the intent isn't to turn around and sell it the next day. I mean, most people stacking silver are buying it for a long hold. And I think over a long period of time, you're going to do just fine. But if you're going to buy 90% today with the intent to turn around and sell it when spot goes up, I just want you to know that spot's going to have to go up a lot, or the demand for 90% silver is going to have to return for you to get anywhere near your money back at a coin shop. As you can see, I lost basically $100 and up from every single shop today if I were to go ahead and sell this. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to sell it on my own, or I'm going to put some of it in my deep stack. But selling it back to shops, it's going to take a while. So buy it and put it aside, and keep in mind that 90% is a really great way to diversify your stack. And it's a really good way to have fractional precious metals, which, to be honest with you, is a lot better than these. And I've talked about these before. We're not going to get into it in this video, but not a fan of paying double spot price for gold. Just saying. Guys, let me know what you think, though. I would love to hear your thoughts, your comments. So leave me a comment and let me know down below what you think. Do me a favor also, make sure you like this video. It helps YouTube recommend it to others and it helps the channel out greatly. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos as well. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.